Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece.
I went through a very horrible divorce, and it really left me feeling some type of way. For one thing, I really didn't feel the same about relationships, and the city I was living at reminded me too much of my ex-wife. I decided to pack up and just leave the city. It's not like I can stay at home. My wife took the house from me, so I don't own it anymore. I left and I just continued to drive. It wasn't until I came across a little small town called Grin Creek. It said that the population there was only about 3,000 people. It was a tight-knit community. I thought maybe I can start my life here, living in a little small town. But what I didn't know was the small town is not what it seems, and the people in here are not who they say they are. But I didn't learn about that until later. When I got into town, I saw several people working the field. It was a farm that I passed. There were a couple of people looking at my car as I was driving. When they saw me looking at them, they waved at me, and I waved back. I saw a diner not too far ahead, so I decided to go in there and grab me a bite to eat. The diner was not busy at all. Maybe I can point out about 3 or 4 cars in the parking lot. That was about it. The diner I stopped in was named Billy Bob's Diner. Right when I walked into Billy Bob's Diner, the smell of food hit me like a sledgehammer. It smelled real good. As I was walking to find a seat, there was a woman who looked to be no older than 40 years old. She had short curly hair, and she smiled at me as she came from behind the front counter and grabbed a menu and came up to me as I found my seat. I sat down, and then the woman came up to me and asked me, "Well, you must be new here. I never seen you in town. You're not a regular. Are you just passing by? Got hungry? Want to stop at Billy Bob's Diner? We have the best cheeseburger here." "Oh, thank you, and honestly, I was gonna pass by, but I might stay here for a bit," I told her. She smiled, and then she said, "Well, my name is Katie, and I'll be your server. Can I start you off with some coffee?" "Sure, why not? But give me a few more minutes. I'm still deciding on what I want to order." She nodded her head, and then she went in the back to brew my coffee. I was sitting there, and then I decided to look around on the Google Maps to see if there is maybe a place where I can stay at for at least a couple of months, just to clear my head and forget about all the things that I went through. And I figured that being on a countryside instead of the city might actually help me mentally. An hour later, after I had ordered my food, I was about to leave, but I was stopped by Katie. She asked me a question. "Oh, before you leave, do you know where you're gonna stay?" "I'm most likely just gonna rent me a motel for maybe a month or 2, I told her. But she shook her head and suggested me something else. She went over the counter and grabbed a pen and a paper and wrote down what looks to be an address. She gave it to me and told me, "Here, take this. This is my mother's address. She lives here. You can live with her for a couple of months, and you don't have to even pay her anything. The only thing you may have to do in return is help her with some housework around the place. She really needs help, and she can't do it by herself. My father sadly passed away, and he's been gone for about a year, so she needs a lot of stuff done around the house. I'm pretty sure she'll be happy to have you there. I'll call her and let her know that you're coming." Okay, are you sure this is alright? Does your mother feel comfortable with a random stranger in the household?" "I mean, yeah, of course, but I can look at you and tell that you're a really good person. So, I'll call her, and you just make your way over there. Don't have to worry about anything else." I thanked her, and I went on my way. I was actually kind of glad that I didn't have to spend money on a motel. I get to live somewhere for free. The only thing I had to do in return was do some housework, which it didn't bother me. It really would have kept me busy and not thinking about what my ex-wife done to me. As I was driving, I thought about how strange it was for someone like Katie, who barely even knew me, would suggest me to live with her mother. another woman who didn't know me. I really thought it was strange at the time, and if I had known at that time, I would have never, ever taken her up on her offer. Matter of fact, I would have avoided the whole town and kept on driving until I went somewhere else that was much more safer. But I didn't know at the time, and I would soon find out what horrors await me in this town, Grin Creek. I got to her mother's house, and the house was pretty small. To me, looking from the outside in, it looked like it had 2 bedrooms and maybe 1 bathroom or 1.5 bathrooms, based on from how I looked at the house. I got out of the car with my luggage and everything, and I knocked on the door. A moment later, a woman opened up the door, an elderly, frail, petite woman. She looked at me, and she said, "Oh, wow, you must be the young man my daughter Katie told me about. Well, come on in. I'll be happy to give you somewhere to stay at. In return, you better put those muscles to use, young man." Well, it's the least I can do. I mean, you're letting me live here for free. Free food, free room and board. I don't mind helping out any way that I can. I told her, "Look at you, fine young man. Oh, the muscles are something else. Oh, you're so delicious." "Oh, thank you, I guess," I said to the woman as I was cross-eyeing her. I wasn't gonna lie, I never had no one tell me that before. It felt a little weird to me, but I guess it was her way of being humorous. "Oh, where are my manners? My name is Miss Perkins." "Oh, nice to meet you, Miss Perkins. My name is Tommy. I don't think I never told your daughter my name, but I'm pretty sure I have a chance to tell her later." "Ah, yes, Katie. She's such a sweetheart. And she's single, too." "Oh, well, Miss Perkins, I see what you're trying to do, but, sorry, I'm fresh off a divorce, and dating, again, is not something that's nowhere near on my mind right now. Kinda just wanna heal for a bit, just rediscover myself for a while, I told her. After we got done talking and knowing one another, I settled into my room. After I got done setting everything up in my room, I came out and started helping Miss Perkins with some of the things that needed to be done around the house and outside the house. It took about a full 5 hours for most of everything to be done, and after that, she made dinner. I ate dinner, and then I went off to bed. But as I was going off to bed, I heard some muffled talking.
"It's always so exciting to see human beings come into Grin Creek town, even though they'll never, ever, ever be able to escape."
I heard Miss Perkins say. I was curious to want to know what did she mean by whenever someone comes visit, they never leave. I left it alone because my eyes were starting to get heavy, and I wanted to fall back to sleep because I had to get up earlier to help Miss Perkins out with the farm and the other chores that she needs done around the place. The next morning, I got up at around 5:30, and I started doing the things that Mrs. Perkins needed me to do. After I got done, which was around 10 o'clock a.m., I decided to take a shower and then head into town to buy a few things at the store. As I was walking into town, that's when I noticed something was really off with the people. As I was walking, everyone was going on about their business until I started walking by. Let me explain. Basically, as I was heading into the store, each time I was walking, a couple of people would stop and just stare at me. It was a weird glare, and it made me feel uncomfortable. They were eyeing me like I was some kind of prey. I didn't really feel comfortable with it, but I paid it no mind. I shopped for the things that I needed, and as I was doing so, more people came across the aisles that I was on and just stared at me as they were walking. They made me feel like I was an outsider. Well, in some way, I am, considering that I'm not from their small town, Grin Creek. But still, the way they looked at me had me on edge. But I did my absolute best to ignore them. I went up to the register to have the cashier ring up my stuff. But as I was doing so, she kept on just glancing at me as she was ringing up my stuff. She just looked at me like she was curious about something, or looked at me like I was something completely different. I can't really describe it. As I made my way out of the store, I was walking as more people stopped and just turned and looked at me. I felt very uncomfortable. This was getting out of hand, but I ignored it. I kept on moving forward until I got to the house. As I was about to enter into Mrs. Perkinson's house, I saw Katie there. I was about to walk in, but then I thought I would just stand there for a moment, off in the corner of the house so they wouldn't see me and hear their conversation. Mom, every time I see him, he makes me want to drool. He's really delicious. When are we gonna get a chance to cook him alive and eat him? I'm pretty sure the other townsfolk are excited as well. I mean, I heard from my friends that they saw him going to the store. They really wanted a taste of him. They really just can't believe that an outsider has came into this town. It's been, 50 years? Oh, it definitely has. And don't worry, Katie. Tonight is the night when the moon is full. We're gonna feed him really well. And then we're gonna make him into a meal. He's never gonna leave here alive. Especially when he sees how we really look. I felt sick to my stomach. I had to ask myself if what I heard was real and I didn't mishear anything. But I know for a fact deep down inside, I heard what I heard. They wanted to eat me. The whole entire town wanted to eat me. I thought this was some kind of joke, but the way they were talking about me, they made me felt like I was a meal of some sort. I tried to convince myself that maybe it was just a small town humor that they say to all outsiders whenever they're coming into this town visiting or staying for a bit. So I made my presence known and I walked in. I looked at them and I waved at them as I went into my room. Later on that night, I got myself together for bed, and I fell off to sleep at around 11 o'clock p.m. About 2 hours into my sleep, I noticed something was off. I woke up, but I didn't know why I woke up. That wasn't until I heard some gurgling, growling noise. The noise that I heard did not sound like it comes from an animal. It sounded like it came from something else, otherworldly. The growls were not loud, but they were low enough where I can hear it. And I could make out a figure crouched down on the floor of my room. Keep in mind, it was in the middle of the night. My lights were out, but I could make out a shadow. I was too afraid to cut on the light because I didn't want to see what was doing that or what that thing was. But the way it looked, it had long arms and long fingers. It was abnormally tall. There was no way this could have been a human being. I hid under the covers like some little kid, afraid for my life. I stayed under the covers for what felt like a while, and then eventually I fell asleep. When I woke up, I noticed something was wrong. The clock said 7:30 a.m., but it was pitch black outside. Something didn't seem right. I thought maybe there was a storm coming. I looked up, and the sky was darker than ever. I tried to look for my phone, thinking that there was a huge storm on the way, but I couldn't find it. I went to the kitchen where Mrs. Perkins was usually making something in the kitchen, but it was empty. That was really strange. I tried looking for my clothes to go out, but I couldn't find them. It was really odd because I put my clothes on a chair in my room, but now it was gone. I only had the clothes that were on my back, which were shorts and a muscle t-shirt. I went outside, and when I opened the door, I was immediately met with the entire town of Grin Creek. The people were just standing there. It was complete silence. What's going on? Why is everyone standing here? Did something happen? I asked as I was looking around and observing everyone. No one said nothing for a moment, and then out of nowhere, they all started to chant. They started to say this weird chanting that was in a completely different language, a language that I never heard of before. They kept on going, and I was starting to have chills running all over my body. And then, out of the noise of the chant, a voice called out to me. "Where do you think you're going, young man? You're too delicious to escape. No, you're staying right here. You're never gonna leave. Anyone who comes into Grin Creek never leaves here alive. And we're hungry. It's been such a very long time since we had human stew. And we're gonna get it. You're gonna be the meal that's gonna satisfy us." "What the hell are you talking about? Meal? Y'all cannibals or something? No, I'm getting out of here." But before I could even leave, I felt a very sharp pain in the back of me. I turned around, and it was Katie. "Sorry, my mom is right. You're not going anywhere. You're gonna stay right here with us. We need to eat. We haven't eaten in about 50 years. And we'll let you in on a little secret. We're not human at all. And not to mention, we're not actually human beings. This is a disguise. This is not how we actually look." Once Katie got done talking, that's when her mother, Mrs. Perkins, and everyone in the town began to chant. They chanted as their bodies began to change. Their skins became more scalier. Their eyes became more orange. They started glowing, and then their nose just turned into two little holes, and then their mouths began to open, and teeth just protruded out of their gums. They began to grow taller and taller until eventually they were no longer human beings. They were creatures I'd never seen before. They looked at me. Their mouths were drooling with excitement. I became the prey. I was looking around and wondering what kind of town did I stepped into. I knew there wasn't no escape. My body began to go numb and limp. I fell down to the ground as the entire town's people or creatures started to close in on me. They got closer and closer. That's when I knew they were right. I'm not leaving out of here alive.